What's up? So today I want to shed some light on heart anxiety, otherwise known as cardiophobia. I feel like it's something that doesn't get enough attention in the anxiety world, but so many people deal with that. See, I had health anxiety and panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder for 5 long years, but the first 2.5 years of that, it was really related to my heart. I had cardiophobia, the heart anxiety thing. So I kind of want to shed some light on that, explain what it's about and why it's extremely difficult to go through and to get past. And hopefully my experience can make you feel less alone and know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can recover from this because I did. So before we jump into this, guys, if you have heart anxiety, help me get this message out to more people. Let's spread the awareness. Hit the like button and leave me a comment and let me know what your experience with heart anxiety has been like. My heart anxiety actually started when I had my first massive panic attack. This panic attack lasted for 6 hours. I did a lot of partying over a weekend, came back, noticed my heart rate. I was like, oh, this is kind of fast. Then it jumped up really quickly. Then the adrenaline hit, my blood pressure went up, I had numbness, tingling, then my chest started to hurt. So I run over to Google and I type all these symptoms in, and guess what comes up? Heart attack at the age of 20. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I panicked. I called my mom, she's a nurse. She eventually got me, picked me up, checked my blood pressure, it was high, but things started to settle down and I was like, oh my God, maybe I didn't die, but what was that? And from then on, I had this little thing in my head that there was something wrong with my heart. My chest continued to hurt for the next 3 weeks after that. That really sold me that something had to have been wrong with my heart. Something had to have happened that night. So one of the first struggles with heart anxiety is if you have it really, really bad, a lot of times it's accompanied with like anxiety attacks or panic attacks. And you will be tempted to think that these panic attacks are heart attacks. So that was my first big struggle. I thought my first panic attack was a heart attack that I somehow survived. I then became afraid of having this heart attack again, so I would have panic over and over and over, and this is actually what started my panic disorder. So now I'm having multiple panic attacks every single day that I think are somehow heart attacks that I'm surviving. And even if I was able to be rational in between the panic attacks, when the panic attack hits, we're not really meant to be rational. We're in survival mode, and all of our symptoms are in full effect. So I would automatically think, oh my God, this is it. This is the one. This is the big heart attack that I'm gonna have. So the first real struggle that I had with my heart anxiety was the panic attacks that accompanied it. Now that I've got it embedded in my subconscious mind that I have something wrong with my heart, I now started to fear sudden death. And see, that's a thing that separates like heart anxiety from other types of health anxiety. See, later on, I did fear cancers and I went down that road. My health anxiety lasted 5 total years. But at least I thought I could fight cancer, At least I thought I could try and do something to help myself or get to say goodbye to my friends or family and things like that. See, what I was terrified of with the cardiophobia, the heart anxiety, was that I was gonna have a heart attack, fall over, and die. We've seen that so many times with, older people or people that had heart conditions. We've seen videos, things like that. And I did my fair share of Googling and looking up videos of people having heart attacks, all that stuff, and it was a bad idea. It scared me even more. But I had this new intense fear of death, dying, and dying just like that. So now that I had this huge fear of sudden death, it manifested in other areas of my life. So now I didn't want to be alone, right? I don't want to be by myself because what if I fall over, have a heart attack, and nobody's there to get me to the hospital or call an ambulance or whatever to help me or give me CPR or something. So that became an intense fear. I always wanted to be with somebody, whether it be family, friends, my girlfriend at the time. So times where I was by myself in the car was a struggle. At night when people were asleep, that was a struggle. Or if I was just out and about and nobody was around, it terrified me. I also had this intense fear of dying in a public place. Sure, I wanted to get help, okay, but I didn't want tons of people around when I died because that would be humiliating. So I dealt with that fear. And then I had this fear of driving because I had these panic attacks in the car, which I kept on thinking was my heart acting up. And I was afraid that I was gonna go off the road, crash, die, or just have a heart attack on the road. I was afraid of being in between towns because I was scared if I did have a heart attack, there wouldn't be an ambulance that would get out there quick enough to get me. I was also scared of going off the road and hitting somebody head on, ending their life, ending my life, and then I'm thinking, because I would spiral, then thinking like, this is a 20-year-old, he must have just been suicidal or whatever. There's no reason that he would have had a heart problem, and then that's how I go out, right? So I would spiral, I would catastrophize, and having this intense fear of like sudden death will manifest in these ways for a lot of people. So the next thing that you deal with heart anxiety is the fast heart rate. Whenever you're anxious, not even in fight or flight, your heart rate can be high. My heart rate whenever I was at rest would be anywhere from like 95 to 120, which is above average. Whenever I would have panic attacks, it'd jump up to 160 to 180 or even higher. So I would deal with a fast heart rate all the time. So my fear was making it even faster. So I was always terrified of exercise. Anything like lifting something up, I would really notice my heart rate, and that's kind of what we do whenever we have the heart anxiety. We become so in tune and focused with what's going on in our body, especially in our chest and our heart area. So we feel our heartbeat more so than anybody else. We feel these palpitations more than anybody else, flutters, skip beats, etc. We're feeling all of these things that people without the anxiety really can't feel that well, okay? So now we're hyper aware, we're hypersensitive. So anytime you get off the couch quickly, you feel your heart take off, and you're like, what's that about? Anytime you lift the box up. So it really starts to make you really think that there's something wrong with your heart, because you're thinking like, back in the past, I didn't feel my heart rate when I picked something up. So there must be something wrong. Back in the past, when I got up really quickly, I didn't feel my heart palpitate, you know? Back in the past, I could exercise no problem. Now, whenever I exercise, my symptoms start to act up. So this fear of exercise and getting your heart rate up, it can really cripple you throughout your day. The next horrible thing about cardiophobia and the heart anxiety is that you're constantly looking for reassurance. It could be from friends or family. Like I said, my mom was a nurse, so I was always asking her questions like, why is it my left side that goes numb, you know? Why am I having these symptoms when I'm not even consciously anxious, right? These were questions that I had. But eventually I started going to the doctors once I got past being scared of going to the doctor. See, I would have white coat syndrome, so whenever I would go to the doctor, my blood pressure and heart rate would skyrocket because I was afraid that I was gonna get bad numbers. So then the doctor would look at it and be like, do you have a history of high blood pressure or heart issues? Because these numbers are really high. I'm like, no, I think I have anxiety, I think. So eventually, once I got past being afraid of going to the doctors, I started going a lot. And then it became a problem because I was constantly looking for that external reassurance that my heart was healthy. And the problem was I would go get the testing done, whatever it is, either EKG or an echo or stress test, and they tell me, Trey, your heart looks great. Then I would go home, and then my symptoms would come up again, and then I would start to think that they were misdiagnosing me, that something was wrong that they just aren't seeing. The problem was I didn't understand how anxiety worked. I didn't know that it took time for the subconscious to catch up with the conscious mind. Okay, so consciously I was like, great, I found out that I'm healthy. The subconscious mind is still stressed. It's still worried about heart attacks and death, sudden death, being alone, all these things. So why would just getting this quick external reassurance cut off my symptoms? No, that's where you have to practice acceptance, and that's where acceptance becomes hard, because you have to convince the subconscious that you consciously accept that there's nothing wrong. So I struggled with that. We're talking about going back and back and back to the doctors. There were times that I spent the night in the ER parking lot. And again, this was after I got past my fear of even going. Some of you are stuck in that phase. I urge you to get past that and to please get that initial reassurance. At least get the ball rolling. If you know nothing and you haven't been seen by anybody, you're going to be in constant terror. You're going to be in constant fear. You have to take that first step. Go get the initial reassurance. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on what symptoms I dealt with. I know if you have heart anxiety, cardiophobia, you're probably going to have all the same ones that I had, but I had horrible chest pain. We're talking about upper, lower, left, right, the center, crushing pain, radiating pain, sharp pains. And a lot of this is due to the muscle tension, but at the time I thought it was a sign of a horrible heart attack. I would have numbness and tingling, which in my case, since I was having anxiety, blood flow was leaving the extremities of my body, going to the middle of my body, especially in panic, and that can cause the numbness and tingling on the left or the right side. Okay, I would deal with that. Fast heart rate, obviously, because I'm going into fight or flight. It wasn't because of a heart problem. My heart rate now is perfectly normal now that I've recovered. But I dealt with the fast heart rate. My blood pressure, I haven't really talked a lot about that, but it would skyrocket. So I thought I had hypertension. I thought I had issues with my heart. I thought it was just a sign of heart disease or clogged artery or something. And it was just caused by my anxiety. But I would have numbers like 160 to 180 over 110 whenever I was having panic. But even whenever I wasn't panicking or anything like that, again, my vitals would be high. So my heart rate, even if I was just chilling on the couch, not even panicking, it could be 120. So that's why it scared the crap out of me. Even if I was sitting on the couch, my blood pressure could still be like 140 over 100. And that's why it scared me. And the next big problem that I dealt with was constant vital checking, speaking on the heart rate, speaking on the blood pressure. I was making trips to Walmart or Walgreens all the time to check my blood pressure to make sure that I was okay. I constantly was checking my heart rate. Now, they didn't have fancy apps for this or fancy watches whenever I was 20, 21, 22. They might have had them, but I didn't know about them. I had to constantly check either by going to Walmart or Walgreens or just using my fingers to calculate how fast my heart rate was. And I got very, very good at this. Eventually, I became so sensitized that I could actually tell you what my heart rate was by simply just standing here. That's how crazy my situation got. I was that in tune. I was that in focus of how fast my heart rate was at all times. And if you're doing this, guys, I urge you, after you've got your acceptance and you're ready to move on, you have to stop checking your vitals. You gotta stop doing this. You gotta stop looking at the watch. You get rid of those things or give it to somebody. You don't need it right now, okay? You need internal reassurance. Stop checking your blood pressure. And this goes for all the other things, oxygen, blood sugar. If you're wanting to move past and convince your subconscious that you're healthy, why do you keep checking? See, all you're doing is sending mixed signals to the subconscious. Therefore, it's going to continuously keep you in that cycle. It knows that you're scared, that you're anxious, that something is wrong, so the symptoms continue. And that's why you never get out of the cycle, okay? So once you get the acceptance from the doctors, get all the tests. I don't mind. Get all the tests. Do what you got to do. Get the stress test. See a specialist if you feel like that's what you need to do. But the symptoms are never going to stop until you start to tell your subconscious that there's nothing wrong, and you actually, instead of just saying it, you live by it. Live like you're recovered. Live like you're healthy, right? And a healthy person doesn't do this all day or do this all day or get their blood pressure or their oxygen and heart rate. They don't do that. So start telling your subconscious that you're fine for it to eventually say like, oh, okay, I don't need to send these symptoms anymore. Now guys, honestly, I could make this into a 3-hour video, but I just wanted to kind of, as fast as I could, it's still like 15 minutes long, explain heart anxiety, my experience, why it was hard. I just feel like it doesn't get enough awareness. You know, I really don't. And I think people don't understand what's going on, and that's why they're not recovering from it. See, I just didn't understand the subconscious-conscious relationship. But once I figured that out and I started to convince my subconscious that I was good, that I was healthy, that there was nothing wrong with my heart, that's whenever recovery became possible. And I did struggle with health anxiety after the cardiophobia because I didn't handle my root causes. I didn't handle my overall fear of death and dying. So when my symptoms changed, I went with it and went down the Google train. So there's a ton of things that you need to start doing regarding your cardiophobia, your heart anxiety. You got to stop checking the vitals. You got to stop doing the Googling. You get your reassurance if you haven't gotten it. Once you've gotten your reassurance or you've gotten the testing you feel like is good enough, you have to go all in on acceptance and move forward from there. You got to exercise. You got to live a healthy lifestyle. You got to get rid of the negative triggers, the unhealthy triggers. You got to do everything that you can. See, anxiety is a sign that you need to grow. It's a total transformation. You got to grow in pretty much every area of your life. And briefly on the exercise, I told you about the fear of that. That was actually one of the biggest things that I did to convince myself that I was healthy. I was having panic, thought I was having a heart attack, went out and ran. I was like, oh my God, finally I can let go. That actually did me a lot more good than the constant reassurance I was trying to get from the doctors. So if you have something that you're avoiding, do it, okay? If you have something that makes you uncomfortable, do it, okay? That's how you recover from anxiety, all right? So I wish you the best if you're dealing with this. I have a course that's very extensive, tons of information, something that can help you with your panic attacks, your health anxiety, especially heart anxiety. It's from my heart. It's my step-by-step blueprint on how I recovered. There's a routine in there, which is going to show you what you need to do from the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed at night, okay? So please grab that Elite Anxiety Bootcamp program if you haven't. It's going to help you with your heart anxiety. I recovered 110%, okay? I'm here to share my life, my story, my struggles. I've been doing it for years on this channel, okay? So let me help you out through that program. Also have one-on-one coaching if you're interested in that. But guys, I love you all. Please go down the description, check out my TikTok, my Instagram, my Snapchat, my Twitter. There's a link for online therapy as well down there. Be a part of that. But guys, I love you all. Keep fighting. I believe in you.